Hello. I'm gonna do we're gonna do a countdown of the Disney villains, the best Disney villains. Since Disney, when it comes to villains, they're the best. We're gonna do the top 10 villains. So number 10. The very first Disney villain, even before Mickey was even thought of, even before Oswald was even thought of, Pete. Since he was the original, we had to pay homage to him and say, at least give him some honorable inclusion to our list. Because since he was a four from all the main characters in Disney World, he helped Disney get his stardom in his movie making. So you could say without Pete, we're a Disney beat. So that's why he's number 10. Number 9 is one that we did not know who he was. We had a feeling he was a bad person because he was acting kind of like a jerk during one of her movie, and we were surprised that he was bad, which is King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph. One of my favorite Disney movies because it we were able to see the same way they did with Roger Rabbit and had a lot of movie characters, a lot of cartoon characters together. This one had a lot of video game characters together, and the way they've been doing lately, a lot of the villains and nowadays, the last um, these last movies, we don't find out who the villain is until like at the end. And I think he was the first one they started doing that with, but I think he's like one of the best because he looks like Mad Hatter was a king of candy of Mario Kart. Because basically that's what that place is. It's Mario Kart with the strawberry shortcake version. It's basically because all of them are candies and ice cream stuff like that. So it's basically like that. So, and I like how it was a twist because they brought back the whole entire thing, like saying, don't go turbo. And they made, because at first you just thought that was just something that Wreck-It Ralph should not be doing. This is because this is a joke. We did not know that he was going to come back into play and be the bad guy. This is something that's kind of breakfast in the game. It showed up to fruition. So, that I use number 9. Okay. Eight. Hades. Um, he, he's the movie Hercules is okay. It was not the best Disney. We tried to do Aladdin, but it was for when it was pretty good. Not the best, but what we had for a villain was basically Hades, played by um, James Woods, who is basically playing a lawyer version of the devil. Because he's pretty much saying we make deals, and make jokes about it. Because for it, all the good lines were coming out of his mouth. I mean, even Kingdom Hearts, he still played him in his Hades, and he's still the villain that made jokes and stuff like that sarcastically, and one do not want to get mad at you because you would get all fiery and stuff like that. So that's why he's number is Radiant, voiced by Vincent Price. The last name you would think. The guy who did a whole bunch of horror movies, who was the villain, was the villains back in the olden days. Who gets to be a villain and a cartoon character now. But he sells it. You cannot tell it's him. He does it, plays the part really well. And him and the hero, they play great off each other, and you can tell that they do this all the time. And he does not like to be called rat because when he gets mad at the very end, he looks that Mount scene, the clock tower. So that the kid gets scary. He's discharging. Yep, he's definitely a rat the way he acts at the end. He loses all his all his dishonor, and you see who he really is. He's a monster because he pretty much all he does is he's trying to hide, right, and try to be respectable and still be a bad guy. But he lets it all loose at the end. So he pretty much tries to go right after Basil and makes it went all dark. So, number 6. Is Lady Tremaine, the late evil stepmother from Cinderella. Yeah, you think, no, why would you pick her? What does she do? Let's see. She makes Cinderella, who stalks her dad, take care of her, even though Cinderella's out of this house. It's her dad. Instead, she ends up being a maid. Take care of her and her take care of her and her 2 daughters, make her do all the chores, and when make her feel ugly because it just makes her wear ugly clothes. All because Cinderella is prettier than her and her 2 daughters. She pretty much, every time she tries to, like, when she gets to get ready for the ball, she pretty much sets her 2 daughters on her to tear up her dress that they believe that she made herself, or was her mom's. So, just leave her there to cry. And even when she locks her in the room, and she breaks the shoe, then even though and then what do you get? You get, like, when we see her, like, find out that's her, the lights go out, and all we see are those green eyes, and we see, like, the evil stare. So, and she was, so, yeah, she's basically a bitch in on her show, on her movie. So what did you expect? She's one of the best. Um, I'm gonna pick Hans from Frozen because he knew how to make you think that he was actually a good person until like until the end of the third, because he was able to show that he would help Anna do everything until the very end, until she was came to him hurt, and it became so surprising that he was a bad guy. So since he was from its fullness on term during the entire movie, I don't like when I first saw this. This is basically what this is pretty much Gaston, except for we did not know that he was a bad guy. Just like Gaston, everybody likes him, and so he's pretty much Gaston, but a lot better. So and he just does this so he can, because he knows he will never become king if he stays at his house, he stays in his kingdom. He's like he has like 12 brothers ahead of him. There's no way he's ever going to become his kingdom. So the only way for him to do this was to marry Anna. He was married one of those two, but he wants to do it without one of them in his way. So since we basically don't heard the movie, we do not know it was him. That's why he's in 5. Frollo. Um, Basically the most darkest villain out there. One who mostly appears is a porno. It appears entire pedophile in this thing. What does he do in this entire movie? He is in love with Esmeralda. He says he's not. He is. Because he smells her hair. What? Why is that in a Disney movie? That's the weird thing is that they put this in a Disney movie. They had this type of villain in a Disney movie. They know that kids are watching this, and it's funny that I did not notice this when I was a kid. Every time I watch this movie, I'm like, okay, how did I not see what type of villain this was when I was a kid? Like smelling the hair, the whole entire scene, the whole entire Hellfire scene was basically the best Disney song, and the whole entire world of my taste. It's basically about an old man deciding, should I be with the girl, even though I'm race, I don't like her kind. Yeah, I'm still attracted to her. So should I give in and stop? Because basically she's a witch. So should I kill her, or should I make her be my slave or something? So that's basically what's going on in that wonder thing. So it's what I like about him, because he is basically the furthest Disney's gonna go. I don't see them going any further, any darker, because that's basically that movie is the darkest they got. I mean, people think um, the Black Cauldron's dark. At least the Black Cauldron doesn't have this kind of stuff in this movie, where the villain is basically wants to decide either should I kill the girl I love or should I? And the fact that he's an old man too. So I still think this movie is dark and sick, and I love it. And I love him as one of the villains, so that's why he's number 4. is a tie between the two cats villains out there, Shere Khan and Scar. I know, but basically they're pretty similar. They both, except for one kills his own brother. But since they're both basically cats, they're basically pretty similar. They both try to like imitate and stuff like that by taking over stuff. So Shere Khan is maybe a little more scarier because maybe a little more of a villain. Because at least when he's taking over the jungle, he still acts like he's the Khan. Because once Scar takes over the Pride Lands, he just sits there and doesn't really do anything. He just sits there while Shere Khan is still imitating. But they're both pretty much close because they were imitation. This one just does it a little better than the other. Two is Jafar. He was able to trick both the Sultan and Jasmine. Well, he didn't really trick her. He mostly just tricked the Sultan. Hypnotize him into making him and having him become the new Sultan. Because he didn't have before he was making sure because he didn't have the genie. So he had only to do was hypnotize him since he was known to get the genie. So, and I like how the way he looks. He basically looks like a villain, and yet no one can tell that he's a villain until the middle. So I just like his snarly remarks and stuff like that. And I think he was one of the first Disney villains I saw as a kid. I saw that movie in the theaters when I was 3. So I had to honor him because I think he's one of the first Disney villains I saw. So that's why he's number 2. Number 1 is Maleficent. She's because Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, it's awesome Beauty, but she only has like how many lines in that movie? 19. Because she spends half the movie sleeping. This movie is about Maleficent. We see that she goes pretty far. She's one of the few Disney villains that actually cusses. Her and Frollo are the 2 villains that cuss. They both say hell. Not wanting on her bad side, only because she was not invited to the party. She went out all out. I'm gonna kill your daughter. Because I wasn't invited because I invited her to her birth, her being born. And you guys put her in a sleeping curse instead. Alright, I'm still gonna go after her. And then I'm gonna get the prince. And I'm gonna keep him until he's old. Because we're gonna release you. Yeah, but we're not releasing until you're old. So when you kiss her, she's gonna scream at you and you're not. She's still. When Prince Philip gets out, we see her trying to get her, and it's not even really Prince Philip that's fighting in that. Really, he does until he loses his sword, loses his shield. So it's basically the fairies are helping him the entire time. It's basically the fairies going up against her. So it's sad that Philip had to rely on fairies to do all his work for him. So that dragon fight was like one of the best scenes in a lot of Disney movies. And when she dies, I don't know if it's like, I doubt it's like that for anybody else, but and we see her bleed. So since she actually goes all out over not being invited to a party, do not mess with her. That's why she's number one.